Hey, friends. Before I invite my next guest on, I always ask myself, why would you even want to take the time to listen to this? Because I know that your time is super valuable. Ladies, if we have the fire in us that our guest has, we could change the world for our country and our families. We have a dynamic woman with us today, and she is breaking the glass ceiling in absolutely every way. Senator Julia Coleman is not only carving the way for generations to come, she is standing up for us, women, and she is introducing bills that affect not only women, but our families and communities. A few things we're going to touch on today, which I think are vitally important, is the physical dangers of public service. And perhaps you heard what happened in Minnesota and why she still bravely serves. Arsenic in our feminine products. Did you know that? I never knew that. I love the fact that she's heralding that and what she's doing to protect us in that area. And she is a young wife, a mom of three adorable boys. And while she is tackling the tough state issues and reaching across the aisle in bipartisan ways, she's still a wonderful mother and a wife. So keep your eyes on Senator Julia Coleman, ladies. She is going to be one to watch. Welcome, Senator, to Women's Hot Topics.
It's good to be back.
I'm so glad to have you here. So, Senator, I've known you for a long time, and I love following you. I am so proud that you represent our beautiful state of Minnesota. Let me tell you, friends, a little bit about her real quick. Senator Julia Coleman has served in the Minnesota State Senate since her election in 2020, resulting in her becoming the youngest woman ever elected to the Minnesota State Senate. Youngest woman, friends. Senator Coleman is a Republican lead of the Education Policy Committee and serves as an assistant minority leader. In Senator Coleman's first two terms, she authored and passed many bills to provide better and more efficient resources for students, working mothers, children, and her community. Public safety is top priority for her as well, supporting safe neighborhoods and those who protect them. In addition, Senator Coleman passed tens of millions of dollars in critical funding for multiple infrastructure projects and roadways in her growing district. And that's so important in Minnesota. Those roads are cracking here and there. There's always stuff that needs to be fixed. But most of all, the thing I really enjoy following with her on the most is Senator Coleman is a proud mother of three boys. Her oldest son, Adam, and identical twins, Charles and James. Her family proudly calls Waconia their home. I'm so thankful to have you on, Julia.
Oh, I'm so happy and honored to be here.
Now, your description on Instagram says that you're just a senator and a mama bear, two toddlers and identical miracle twin survivors, trying every day to fight for her family and her country. And your twins truly are survivors. It was pretty risky there at the beginning when you were giving birth, but I'm so blessed to watch them grow into young men. They're just beautiful. How old are they now?
So my twins are 4, and they are my favorite story of hope because, as you recall, I was told by several doctors I had to terminate Charles to save James, and their father and I said that's just not on the table. And now they're both tearing apart my house today. So I love to bring them around as a story of hope and faith.
I love that. I love that. As a state senator, you sacrifice, not only your time and your family and what you do for our community, but there's also a risk. There is the man, Vance Butler. He was accused of fatally shooting the state's former House Speaker and is indicted now on federal murder charges in the killing of the Minnesota House of Representatives Speaker, Emerita Melissa Hortman. It was tragic, and all of us were following it. Her husband, Mark Horton, passed as well. In the shooting of Minnesota State Senator John Hoffman and his wife, Yvette Hoffman, they survive after multiple 8 and 9 gunshot wounds. I can't believe it's only by the grace of God that they're here with us today. What a horrific act of targeted violence. And I am sorry, Senator Julia Coleman, for their loss, and we are all grieving alongside you. Can you share with us, please, how this has impacted you, your work, and your family?
Yeah, I can count on one hand days I can look back and say that was one of the worst days of my life. And June 14th was one of them. I had to stay in town for a political convention, but my family was up north and I was woken up by my phone around 5-ish in the morning, just Senator, I need you to stay put. They're shooting people. They're shooting lawmakers. We think Melissa Hortman is dead. We don't know what's going on with John Hoffman. They're getting suburban members. They're pretending to be a police officer. Just don't answer your door if a cop comes. And I'm sitting there home alone with my hands just
Oh,
shaking and realizing it was such a wake-up call that my home security was built on a lot of trust. We barely had a doorbell camera going, and now it's like Fort Knox at my home after that. If I'm outside with my children, I have a panic button in case
mm,
something happens. And
mm.
that's not the first time law enforcement's been outside my home due to a political threat, but that was the most serious. And it was the first time my 5-year-old ever looked me in the eyes and said, "I don't want you to do this job anymore, Mama.
Oh,
It's too scary." And as a mother, your first instinct is, okay, I'm going to resign effective immediately. But then you think about, well, what is that message that I'm sending? And the message is that we can be scared out of this job. We can be scared out of doing what we believe in. And so it was one of the worst days, but it was also a very big, kind of ground shaking moment in my life about the risks and the impact that we are taking in this job and how short our time might be, and to make the biggest impact we possibly can while we can.
well, you're my hero. You're so brave. And not only have you dealt with this with professionalism and also by the grace of God, I saw one of your Instagram posts where you had an officer parked outside protecting your home, and you had the boys go outside before they went to bed and waved goodnight to their new friend. How were you able to handle that with your children? What was the best approach to take?
So they believe every law enforcement officer is their grandfather because my father is a Ramsey County Sheriff Sergeant. And so when the officer came to, and people think that was related to Vance Bolter, I actually got an additional threat that week,
Oh, no.
right after he had been caught. And so we had officers, even after he had been caught for a different reason. And my sons wanted to meet. They ran up to the police car thinking it was Grandpa, and then they made a new friend. And so we've just been using it as a Grandpa's friend is here visiting us, and that's, we try to shield them from as much as we possibly can because they're 5 and the twins are 4. They're too young, but we have sat them down for quite a few conversations over the last year about stranger danger and making sure whenever we post a picture of them at school that every single detail of where they could possibly go to school has been blurred out or edited out of the pictures. The school has extra security and keeps an extra close eye on them. So it's a different world than I think what other people have served in. And it's a scary one, but one we are preparing ourselves and the children for on a regular basis.
How are you doing?
I am changed. I am certainly changed. I remember sitting in Melissa Hortman's funeral and thinking, I disagreed with her on a lot, but I also worked with her on some things and the type of leader she was and the legacy she left behind. And for a whole week, 2 weeks, there was no Republican Party or Democrat Party. There was simply leaders that wanted to serve the state and country. And my goal now, because it is sometimes tempting to put on that Team Republican jersey, my goal now is to fight that temptation every single time I feel the urge and to simply focus on being a good leader and to move the other members that I serve with here in the same direction.
Mhm, mhm. Like I said, I'm proud of you. That takes a lot of guts to continue on, and I'm sure a lot of prayer and family. Your husband, I'm sure, was supporting you in this as well. And politics runs in your family. Your father-in-law, uh, Governor Coleman, he served a long time, and so I'm sorry, Senator Coleman, and he has just been a wonderful legacy for the state of Minnesota, and I'm sure he was encouraging to you as well.
He's been a great example of, he still can't go on a plane or a grocery store somewhere without people talking about the impact that he had when he
Mhm.
was in the United States Senate. And so that's always been inspiring for me to watch.
And the reason I say governor, it just popped out because I think you should run for governor. I mean, that
Oh,
might be something down the road that we can have another conversation on. But I think that you have already excelled and given such professionalism and excellence to our state. And I hope someday that you do consider that.
Well, I appreciate that. It's, you know,
Yeah.
my in-laws live very near Summit Avenue, and I pointed out the governor's mansion to my oldest once, and he said, Mama, we should live there. It's very close to Gamma. I said, maybe, we'll see.
That's always a benefit. Amen. Well, with your sacrifice, I want you to know and be assured that you have authored and introduced many bills helping women and families. And just a few of them that stood out to me was female sport team participation to female sex restrictions. That's a hot topic today. Violence in schools, which can't be ignored. You are putting parents and students first, safe and successful. You are the chair of the education committee, and your bill to require parental notification for violent incidents and weapons in school, as well as protecting leaders as whistleblowers when speaking out for what they're witnessing, is a critical piece of legislation that you have introduced. And I think that's just amazing. Thank you for that. As parents, we want to be in the know and we want to know what's going on. Baby product sales and use of tax exemption expansion for that to help us save money. We're raising our children. But the one that really caught my eye, as I had mentioned earlier, was Bill SF 376, and it's in committee right now. And it's the sale prohibition of menstrual products containing arsenic or chemical of high concern. I never even knew that existed. How was this brought to the forefront of your mind?
I was actually scrolling Instagram when a couple of female health accounts I found reported these studies that came out in August showing that menstrual products contain levels of arsenic and lead and like 2 dozen other harmful chemicals. And I just sat there going, you have to be kidding me. I mean, this is things that women use for decades of their lives every single month. And so I did author a bill working with a kind of clean water organization because you think about it, these products also leak into our water streams. It doesn't just affect women, it's everybody. And so we worked on the legislation, and our roadblock we came up against was that if we do this piece by piece, state by state, they'll just stop selling the products here. And so then the organic or the, you know, higher quality products will be all that's available left for women at probably a much higher cost. And so actually, I'm going to share something with you that I'm probably announcing later this week officially is I got women, Democrats and Republican, who serve as state representatives and state senators across the country to sign on to a letter that we're actually sending to RFK within this,
Mm.
you know, next week here, that's asking this to be done on a wholesale national level. That way, we're not worrying about other states being impacted, and we're going to just tackle this for all women in America, not just those in Minnesota. And it was very excited for me how quickly I would reach out to a woman I've never worked with or interacted, and they say, "Yep, sign me on that letter. Absolutely, this is ridiculous."
It is ridiculous. And I love that you're thinking big, you think large. What can we do, not just at a state level, but to help all women in the United States? Bravo, way to go. And so where is the bill standing right now?
Right now it's on hold because if we can get this done on a federal level, then the bill kind of becomes unnecessary. One thing that we're working on that we can definitely get done that won't impact the sale of products here in Minnesota is so many women, when I talk about this, they don't even know that this is something that got published last August. And so we're working on a labeling requirement for the products, much like you see on packs of cigarettes saying this is dangerous, this is what it contains. We're working on that for feminine products as well. And so the bill is on hold while we try to get this done on a national scale. And I'm very excited that RFK Jr. is in this spot because he seems to have a big interest in removing harmful things out of American products.
Mhm. I can't wait to see all the things that he's going to do for America. I love it. Thank you, Senator. Thank you. Um, I'm going to be watching for that bill. We're going to be praying for that. My daughter, who is 40, we were talking about it last night together. And these are things she didn't know this either. And
Mm.
so it's just amazing. It needs to be brought to the forefront. All of us at one point or another have used those products. And just the impact it not only would have on our personal lives and our environment as well. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
So I want to get into a fun topic. I kind of love the way that you're embracing your 30s. I mean, just to watch you as a young woman and a young mom and a beautiful wife, and yet you stand up for what is right in politics. and you got yourself a motorcycle. Tell me a little bit about the motorcycle and then also what you are hoping to pass as far as having their own lanes in Minnesota for motorcycles.
Absolutely. So what we did pass already, it became enacted July 1st, was motorcycle lane filtering and lane splitting. And I'll never forget the idea got presented to me who had never even ridden on the back of a motorcycle before. And I literally said, get out of my office. This is ridiculous. I mean, that sounds so dangerous. But then I was presented with constituents who rode, and they would talk about sitting on 494, which if you're a Minnesotan, you know what that's like lately, how bad it is, and then the 90-degree heat, and we don't move for 10 straight minutes. One of my constituents actually got heat stroke and started falling off her bike. I've had other people tell me about how they feel like sitting ducks in traffic, and with the rate of distracted drivers, they just get rear-ended. And so most Minnesotans have been having the same initial gut reaction I did, which is, a motorcyclist driving past me, it sounds incredibly dangerous, incredibly scary. But the data shows it's not. And we wrote the bill in a way in Minnesota where you're not going flying down the middle of the lane. It's only going at slow speeds when traffic's slowed or completely stopped so that motorcyclists can keep moving without being a sitting duck waiting to get slammed into or rear-ended by someone not paying attention, or without having to suffer heat stroke or the elements. And you keep in mind, they don't have air conditioners. They have very hot engines beneath them. So it's dangerous conditions. And so the data, I think we're the sixth or seventh state to pass this. The data shows that while little incidents like they might ding your side mirror slightly increase, major incidents like severe head trauma or death go down for those who ride. So there's just a little bit of a learning curve where Minnesotans are going to have to learn when traffic's slow to stop. You just kind of got to angle your vehicle a little bit and then allow the bikers to safely go down the center lane at slow speeds. And I'm the first one to tell motorcyclists, if you mess this up for me, if I hear you're flying down the lane and not taking care of that max speed limit, I'll be the first one to write the repealer law. So you behave yourself out there. This isn't a free for all to just zoom down the highway. I don't have a bike yet. I'm actually looking at buying one today after we get off the phone here, but I have my third motorcycle class today. I figured if I'm going to be writing this legislation and, talking about the experience that they have, I should know what I'm doing. And I'm also going into a family of my father, my stepfather, my brother, everybody rides, and I always get left out on these great trips, so no more.
I love that. Awesome. Way to go. Good luck shopping this afternoon. I can't wait to see what you end up picking out. Make sure you put that on
Thank you.
Instagram so I could check it out.
I
Your son,
absolutely will.
your son was so cute with the helmet on. What was the phrase he kept saying?
Oh, at GAT, which means all the gear all the time. And so they are determined. My children are much like their uncle and their grandfather. They are gearheads through and through, and to the point where one of them actually gets like starts shaking with excitement when he's around in anything with an engine. And so for their birthdays, they all got little mini BMW motorcycles, and it's like having a toy Jeep or something like that. It's just electric, but I want to start the safety right away. So I got them
Sure.
dirt bike helmets and goggles and gloves, and they are lobbying now to get actual dirt bikes, but that's a ways off for mom.
Just a little bit. We got a rock quarry in Lakeville. They can go practice there without hurting anybody.
Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
oh
Perfect.
my goodness. There you go. Before we part, and I know that you have a busy schedule, I can't thank you enough for coming on to Women's Hot Topics and sharing what you're doing. And I do feel like a proud mama bear because I have kind of walked along your campaign and watched your career through the years. And so thank you again for representing women and doing such a great job for the state of Minnesota that I love. But how can we be praying for you, Senator?
Always about trying to strike that balance. I always ask people to pray that I find the balance between service and family time and, taking care of mom as well. And
Yeah.
so just praying that I find that balance, that whatever I need it to look like in my life is always incredibly helpful. And then I'm always trying to find, I am one of four women here. I am always trying to find more women who want to step up to the plate and run. So just prayers that women feel that call and that inspiration and take that bold step forward. And if you feel like you are one of those women, reach out to me, email my office, or find me on social media. I'm always happy to talk through, kind of the fears and then the realities and excitements that go along with it.
I love it. And friends, if you heard this and this is on your heart and you do feel called to serve, which is a sacrifice indeed, go to himforher.org, HIM number 4 her, HER.org. We will have a direct link to her email info page so that you can send out that little note that you want to encourage her and you also want to share that maybe you're interested in going into the same line of work as Senator Julia Coleman. Senator, I'm so proud of you. God bless you. And please come back again and give us updates.
Absolutely. Anytime.
See you later. Take care.
Thank you.